Hi, this is Laura Wansick. I'm going to do a walkthrough of an album I made of a trip that we went on this last summer. So the album is in a 6x8 Studio Calico cloth album. I made this label here on the spine. And here on the inside, I put a vinyl decal that we found in Seattle. So throughout the trip, we gathered a lot of different things and I incorporate them in the album, and I'll show you as we go. So this is a trip that we went on to the Seattle area. We went to a fan gathering of our favorite TV show from the 90s called Northern Exposure, and the fan gathering is called Moosefest. And there's quite a cult following to Northern Exposure. If you've never seen it, I highly recommend that you check it out. And so I open up the album by just talking a little bit about why we love the show so much. And then this is a postcard that we got as part of our kind of swag when we went to the event. So a big part of this trip was the fact that my husband had never flown before. And so this was a really big trip for him to fly. And, you know, for his first flight to be about 5 hours is a pretty big deal. So the first part of the album really talks about the flight and what a big deal it was and kind of what that experience was like. I had my daughter wear this extremely adorable dress that we found on Amazon. I was very excited about that. We flew Alaska Airlines. I couldn't recommend them higher. They are wonderful. So again, this is all the story of the flight. He didn't want to look out the window for the first couple of hours, so that was pretty funny. A cute thing that my daughter said. And then the hashtag that the Alaskan Airlines uses on social media is I Fly Alaska. So I thought that would be cute to put on the plane there. And just telling more and more of the story. This is from the app here that my husband used to track the flight. So he screenshotted that and I included it there. I really like this new page protector size from Ali Edwards. I think it's 2x3 and then what would it be, 3x6. I use this a lot throughout the album and I'm pretty pleased about that. And I also did a lot of see-through elements. I really like those. And I just basically took this chipboard and put them on a piece of clear plastic. This is our airline ticket. It fit almost perfectly into the 3x8 page protector. I just had to trim it very slightly. Then this is one of the luggage tags. And then again, I said the airline was so amazing. So they gave Chad a pair of wings and the whole crew wrote us this note because I had told one of the flight attendants that it was his first flight. So that was really sweet of them. So throughout the album, I use mostly Ali Edwards products and some In a Creative Bubble products. This is when we got there that night, my daughter, and we got in at like 1 a.m. our time. She did such a good job. And then this is a letter that I wrote to my husband, just sort of telling him how proud I am of him and what an amazing job he did. Then this is our day in Seattle. So I use these to sort of denote the beginning of each new day. This was about a 5-day trip. These are for a digital element from Ali Edwards. So the first day we just wandered around Seattle. So this is just various snippets from that. The first Starbucks. I didn't want to wait in line. I don't love it that much. There was an insane line. And I got this idea from the travel product play class from Ali Edwards. I can't remember who did this. I don't know if it was Ali or maybe Ingen. Somebody did where they took a map and then sort of embellished on the map. And I really liked that. And I did this plastic word here, Rome. And then this is actually the 3 places that we went. So this is where we stayed. And then we went to Top Pot Donuts first, and then we went to the Pike Place Market. So I thought that was kind of cool to just see the actual map we used to walk around downtown. And then another decal that we found. And then these are all just like random little pictures that I took while we were there, little snippets of the trip. And then after we left Seattle, we made our way to Roslyn, which is where the show was filmed. And so on our way, we stopped in Snoqualmie, and it turned out that that's actually where the exterior for Twin Peaks was filmed. And it was so funny because they were having a Twin Peaks fan festival the exact same weekend. So when we went here, there were all these people and this really cool gift shop. And so that was just a really fun happenstance thing. And then another fun accident was then as we were leaving there, we made a wrong turn, and then we noticed there was a Pacific Crest trailhead. And my husband had always wanted to hike the Pacific Crest Trail, but obviously had never been out there because he's never flown. And so he was super excited to see that. So we hiked a little bit of that. And then this is one of the envelopes that the story kits come in for Ali Edwards, and I used it to put a bunch of different stuff that didn't end up going in the actual album. And I put this decal that we found here, and then also one on the back. So I really like how that turned out. And then on the inside, I just have like these stickers we got from the farmer's market, and I think our plane tickets for the way back. I don't know what these green tickets are. And then like a map that they gave us, and just some various things. This is when we first pulled into the town and we saw the main street, which is kind of the main section of what you would see on the show. And so that was really magical when we saw the brick. It was really fun. My poor daughter was, of course, not into it, but it was cool for my husband and I to see all of this. So she was a good little trooper. Another decal that we found in a store. It was fun to gather that stuff along the way. This is the house that we stayed at. And actually, this was a 4x6 photo, but I copied the sky and extended it to make it taller so that I could put it in here. Sometimes when I do that, I don't know, when you're taking a picture, you don't know, always what size it's going to be in an album. So sometimes when I take a picture, I'll think like, make sure to get the full tree because I might want to extend this if I notice that the sky could be replicated. If there were a lot of clouds, I might not have been able to, but if the sky's a solid color, you can. This is this is the first day of the actual event. This is all of our name tags. And so I actually ended up throwing these away because I took a picture of them, because that's the kind of thing it's like going to make the album really bulky to put it in. So this is one of the actors from the show. And this is one of the flyers that they had around the town. So it was cool to meet him. And then this is a bunch of scripts that were on the table. And then throughout our trip, I kept taking pictures of anything that said Roslyn, which is the name of the city. So this is like a little grid of all of the different Roslyns that I found. So like the post office and a map and things like that. This is us in front of the famous mural that's in the opening of the show. This is the gift shop. That was really cool. It was actually Joel's office. It's now a gift shop, so that's pretty fun. And there's his name still on the window. Us wanting to buy everything. This is the brick. So this is where the cast would always, the characters would always have lunch, and there were a lot of shots that were centered around the brick. So we were excited to go there. They actually had created a replica of the set in Redmond, Washington, which is actually where they did most of the shooting of the interior. This is more the exterior, but it looked, in my opinion, it looked really similar. So I thought it was really cool. And then this is our receipt. Fit really nicely in that size. And then on the Friday night, one of the most magical experiences of the trip was that all the people got together and watched an episode of Northern Exposure in the Roslyn Yard, which is this kind of open area on the main street. And it was really cool to watch the show and then kind of turn to your right and be able to see exactly where a lot of things that were happening in the show were even happening. So it was really cool. And so this is the self-guided tour guide that they gave you that kind of helps you to go find all the filming locations. So I slipped that in here. And this was the day where we did a lot of our sightseeing. So the different locations of people's houses. This is Ruth Ann's store. And this is the original wall color, but this is the new wall color. So I thought that was kind of cool to see. And there was a picture of us in that, in the, what's that called? Like the safety mirror, probably, for the cashier. And then we had to go find a couple of filming locations that were sort of hard to find, but they had some beautiful scenery, which was really cool. We actually didn't end up finding that first exact location, but we figured it was close enough. And so this is the K-Bear radio station set. This was one of the coolest things we saw. This is exactly how they had it on the show. They've kept it intact, and it's in one of the storefronts, actually exactly where it was, just like kind of one window over. So we got to go in and kind of pretend to be Chris in the morning, and that was a really cool experience. And my daughter even did her best at being Chris. That's my husband saying, "Good morning, Cicely." And this was on the outside, kind of explaining to people that don't know about the show what the set was. So that was kind of neat to include in the album. This is a picture of John Corbett, who played Chris in the morning. Who played Chris. Chris in the morning is what they called him on the radio show. So this is a picture of him kind of in the set, which you can kind of tell like how similar it looks. Little details of the set. And then we had gone out to try to find this one location, and we got terribly lost, but it was really cool because we ended up like going up a mountain, and it was just beautiful scenery, unlike anything that my husband had ever seen. So that was really neat. My daughter was breaking down, so I wanted to include this very real life photo of her crying because that was very real. This is folded up. It's the trail system of the town. And then this kind of tells the story of getting lost and how awesome really getting lost was that day. And this is the van or the SUV that we drove, and another decal that we bought. That's a see-through element. The view from inside the house we stayed at, I really liked that because that's a view that I saw a lot that week as I laid on the couch. This is kind of the official thing that they handed out, telling about all the events. And then this was the main event on that Saturday night, which was a dinner with some of the celebrities that came, the actors from the show. And there was an auction, and these were actual outfits from the show. This was Joel's sweater, Maggie's sweater, Shelley's sweater, and Holling's sweater. That was really cool. I totally would have bid on them if they went for extremely high prices, so I wouldn't have bid on them, but they were cool to see. And this was really funny because one of the characters is married to a guy that's much older than her. And so when I was showing this to Ellie, Ellie pointed to the guy that was her husband, and she said, and this is her daddy. And I thought that was pretty funny. And so we got to meet three of the actors from the show. One was that first guy, and then the other one is Diane Delano, and so she played Officer Szymanski. She's also been in a lot of other TV shows, and I knew her actually from one of Ellen DeGeneres' early sitcoms, and I was really excited to meet her and talk about that show in particular. She was so nice. I liked her a lot. And then we met Cynthia Geary, who played Shelley, and I included a picture here of her from the show, and then that's a picture of Diane from the show. And this is some artwork that I found in the town I took a picture of. And then I at the auction, I bid on some stationery and some like prop stuff from the show for like $10. So I was excited to have that. This is a prop bottle that was for auction, a picture of one of the actresses. And then this was everybody that was at the event, and they did a costume contest, and that's my daughter clapping for them. And then they gave each of us a moose. And so that's a picture of all of those, and then me kind of talking about that. And this is the second to last day. Well, actually, it's the last day in the town. We went to the farmer's market. They had these really fun macaroon, I'm not sure how to say that, and these crazy delicious tacos. So that was a really fun experience. And then there was this girl there that was doing free portraits, and so she did a portrait of Ellie that I included right here. And then our very last adventure there was going to this filming location of this really famous scene from the show that's really meaningful, and we did this dancing on it, which is what they do on the show. And so this is some pictures from that. And then we also took a video. It was really, really neat. I loved this from In a Creative Bubble. I thought it was a perfect card for this experience. And then this was the script. What's the right word? This is what they talked about, Ruth Ann and Ed, when they were at this filming location for this scene. This is the part that talked about why they danced. You'd have to watch the show to know. I know it's like a really nerdy thing that we're into, but it was really meaningful to us. And I really liked including the lines from the show to kind of denote like what we're doing and why it's cool. And, you know, putting together an album like this is like a big puzzle. And so a lot of times there will be pockets that don't have anything, like that you kind of have to fill with product. And so my process for this is to print out all the photos, put them in, then do all the journaling. And then my very last thing is always to put in the embellishments, where they essentially fill in all the cracks of the album so that everything kind of is cohesive and pulls together. This is another one of the postcards we got as a swag. We drove to another town for dinner on that Sunday night, and we passed a ranger station, and so Ellie took a picture with Smokey the Bear. And they had this really delicious bread. This was another decal, which was the highway there, one of the highways there that we drove on, so I included that there. Then this is Monday morning when we left. All of our luggage, my daughter being super excited to ride the bus, and then my husband's pictures from he was the window seat because that was helpful for him. So pictures he took out the plane window, my daughter playing with some kids at the airport, this really cute wall from this cute restaurant in the airport. And then the last page is my husband kissing the ground, which he joked about doing. And then this bracelet he got me that showed that he was going to take lots of flying trips with me. And then this page, this right here is an envelope that we got from Top Pot Donuts. And I put a bunch of stuff from Seattle in it, like a map and just various things like from our hotel and such. All right, thanks for watching, and let me know in the comments if you have any questions.